You were right to say we're not coming before you today to say we have a definitive solution to that long-term problem. What we do know is we don't like you. Maybe we're not disagreeing in this.
Americans still live in the most prosperous and dynamic country in the world. Put all of that
I don't think that's a fair description of your plan. Well, actually I do, but we can go back and forth on this.
Welcome all to the House Budget Committee.
Helping the borrowing and consumption. I thought I was running out. I just want to, let me give you just a sense of this. Our government is making promises to Americans that it has no way of accounting for them. And we think that's a smart way to go. That means we're just going to keep lying to people. We're going to keep people who are organizing their lives around the promises that are being made to them today.
Maybe we're not
We
disagreeing.
don't have a plan to make good on this. And so what we're saying is, all these empty promises going. I don't put all that aside.
Maybe we're not disagreeing.
Americans still live in the most prosperous and dynamic
Put all that
country in the
aside.
world.
Do you measure the effects of the problems we have today? I know you don't agree with that. Tax carve-outs for the well-connected.
Maybe we're not disagreeing in this.
The growing cronyism in Washington and government-imposed barriers to upward mobility.
Maybe we're not disagreeing.
Americans still live in the most prosperous and dynamic country in the world.
We have a $99.4 trillion unfunded liability. Why do they do that?
Let's not talk about why do they take off again.
I think we would agree that we think
Americans still live in the most prosperous and dynamic country in the world.
we're fine that you don't like our path. That's what politics and Republicans and Democrats and differences of opinions are all about. One of the key threats. Americans still live in the most prosperous and dynamic country in the world.
Maybe we're not disagreeing in this.
Because of the influence of Washington's misguided policies. They stack the deck against the average citizen.
Put all of that aside.
Or the relationships with those in power in Washington. To that end, at best it's ambiguous. Is that not what we should interpret out of this?
Americans still live in the most prosperous and dynamic country in the world.
Instead of borrowing and consumption. I know you well enough to know that we more or less agree with that, but because you don't agree with that, our fear is that you're just going to repeat these same mistakes again, but by orders of magnitude that we can't even comprehend right now. You know, on CDs.
Americans still live in the most prosperous and dynamic country. Put all of that aside, and we fear